Hello, everyone! This is Tom Abramowski.
Yep, and this is Masa Mitsuzuka. This is first time podcast.
Yeah, big deal. We're excited.
Yes, we are. And I guess we'll start with introduction, like introducing ourselves, why we're doing this.
More than just who we are, yeah.
Yeah. Well, like I said, my name is Masa, or Masataka for short. Masataka for real name, and then Masa for
I was going to say Masataka for short. I mean, I know Japan's a different culture and all, but longer is shorter? Like, come on now.
You can say that.
It would explain so much.
Yes. Cultural differences. But,
oh, dear.
Yes. But what I am is, I was born in Japan, and right now, I'm in college, or about to finish up college. And, just general hobbies are basically just doing, martial arts, to listen to, dancing, breakdancing. I'm very into animation, which we'll touch up on later. And, just being the normal, stereotypical, I guess, nerd or geek, that would make sense.
I like nerd. I like nerd
okay.
more. Yeah.
Nerd more.
Yeah. Geeks are like the pocket protectors, tape on their glasses, at least in my mind.
Okay.
Whereas that doesn't sound good.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good.
Whereas nerds to me are more like your gamers, your anime kids, your your manga readers, that type of deal. So but that's just me. I mean,
yeah,
I'm sure there's people out there who will be like rada 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 geeks nerds rah 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 rah.
I mean, we in the comments below we can I guess we could start asking like what's one of the questions we can say what's geeks or nerds or otaku or weeaboo.
What is it to you? What
guys?
offends you, and what do you like to be identified as?
Yes.
Because I'm sure all of our Tumblr friends will be like, oh.
And like I said, this is just a little special thing that we just started, so I don't know how long this is going to take. So, getting back on track. That's my introduction. Tom?
All right. Well, like Masa said, I'm Tom Abramowski. I go to school with Masa. We're down at Westchester University. He's going to be graduating, but I'm just finishing. We're only on spring break, but I'm going through my sophomore year. Mm-hmm. And it's a great school. I just transferred there this year. It's fantastic, and getting to know a lot of people like Masa, and all of a sudden here we are doing podcasts. So it's pretty cool, though. I'm used to talking into a mic a little bit. I'm on the school radio, so I have a little bit more experience going into it than just, hey, let's do a podcast, her. But yeah, I'm an English major. I love to read. I love to write. I love to speak. Thus, I guess you could say I'm slightly narcissistic. Masa, my psychology major over here, may identify that later on. But I also love anime, manga, video games. I am a gamer at heart. I play all sorts of different games. So that's who we are. It's going to be a nerdy podcast, but that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Tom did touch up on the background of, with podcasts. I mean, most of our friends, we've been listening into podcasts of other people on YouTube, other radio channels. I've also been doing filming on the side for hobbies, fun. I guess role models from that sense was basically like Bruce Lee's movie, Jackie Chan, Jet Li, Freddie Wong, very popular YouTube channels like those. They really inspire people like us. And even though we do have a tight schedule around school, this is one of the few things that I think we can do as in our group of friends. So that's why I said, you know what, let's do a podcast. And as a test, for the first episode or whatever, this is how we're gonna do it. I mean, like Tom basically said, he does radio at school, and you do like to go into communications, right? Yeah,
I'm thinking about doing a communications minor to complement my English degree, but we'll see. Time and money and all those fun things that we college students never seem to have enough of.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. But yeah, the one thing, in general, for us, we like anime, or animation, or manga, or, Japanese. I guess that's one of the major cultural worldwide phenomena. I guess that came out of Japan, and everyone else kind of built on top of that, kind of used as I guess led by example. Yes, there were Americanized cartoons,
Avatar.
Avatar.
Things like Avatar are really where you see kind of the mixing of the cultures,
right?
Because I know at first when I was younger, I thought, oh, look at this anime, this is pretty cool, and then it's like, this doesn't look the same though. Right. It definitely has that Western animation, and that's when you really realize, oh wow, here we've got American, Canadian, what have you, companies making anime style shows with the Western twists.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing for me the most Western thing I ever saw was Code Lyoko.
Yes, I loved Code Lyoko. It was so silly, but yes,
I was a little bit bummed out. I mean,
I was a little surprised. I was like,
yeah,
this is from France, really? This is all right. But yeah, that's Toonami and Cartoon Network in general. Really, kind of, at least that's where I saw Code Lyoko. I don't know if it broadcast elsewhere, but it really kind of opened us up to us American kids anyway, to this idea of anime. Right. And oh wow, this is pretty cool. This isn't just like our SpongeBob SquarePants and our Tom and Jerry. This isn't just a cartoon. It's some of it's dark, and there's action, and it's I mean, you look at things like Gundam and Dragon Ball Z that were on Toonami when we were younger, and it's like, you look at it now, there was some dark stuff in those shows.
Right. I mean, like for me, I grew up around with it. I was born in Japan, and the time when I started to like remember things and have memory, the number one top question, what friends would ask me, like, what's the first anime you saw when you were little? I'm gonna have to say Sailor Moon. Sailor Moon really stuck out, and I still remember the episode where, what was that? The two Sailor Scouts were kissing.
Oh yes,
they were apparently lovers, but apparently in the U.S. they're apparently cousins. I don't get how that makes a big. I don't know. I think that makes a more of a huge problem.
Yeah, that's back in the day. Back in the day, American companies did some odd things with the storylines when they translated them, and I don't know why that was added in. I don't profess to have that much knowledge about Sailor Moon. I didn't watch it much when I was younger, but I do know about that. So I don't know how exactly it all came about, but it definitely, if it was just added in by the American company, I don't see why. Right. Like why they would do that, because they must have known it would just cause issues. So who knows? But
the other thing, I guess, I also grew up watching Ghost in the Shell, the movies.
Yes.
I do slightly remember like Evangelion.
Oh dear.
I sneezed.
I'm so stuffed up. Oh man, that good times, good times.
What was that? Gynex back in the day?
Yep.
That was Gynex?
Yeah. Good old Gynex.
That was the Gynex studio, right? I don't know what this was. It the U.S. studio was also Gynex?
It was probably Gynex West or Gynex America or something. That seems to be how they typically go about it.
Now, typically, like, I should have also said this introducing wise. Like, this typically, our podcast will be mature and above. Maybe we might touch up on PG-13 and above. So,
we are college students. We are over the age of 21. So it is to be expected that we will touch on more, and I'm doing air quotes here because, no one can see it, mature topics that we discuss all the time, but that we may not really think about as being too risque for some listeners. So throwing that out there, we'll definitely make that a normal, as you are listening to this podcast, please be aware, blah 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 type deal.
Exactly.
We'll definitely have to add that in, but yes, be aware, we will be talking about these things, so please do not threaten us with death over things that you might be offended by. Tumblr users, I'm looking at you.
Wait, they do that? I mean, I asked that because I just recently made a Tumblr account. But I mean, I'm used to YouTube. I used to have a couple YouTube accounts during my high school era when I was filming. So I do know of AMV. Like I also made AMVs. I didn't really like it as much as I want it to be, but it's out there. I mean, other things. I'm going back on track. Like other things I've actually,
on track. There is no on track with these podcasts.
I try to be a little bit on.
Oh, we can have a theme, of course, but
like theme based. Like going back on a childhood thing, like I guess that really started off was obviously Pokemon.
Oh yeah,
Pokemon
of course.
for me. Going back, touching up on the gaming a little bit. My first video game system was a Pocket Game Boy. It was actually green, and the first ever game I ever played was Pokemon Green on the Game Boy.
The infamous green version.
Yes, that never came to the States. Now again, it went missing for a little bit because my mother
It's always mom's fault.
played it when it came out. She said, "Oh, this is a gift from us, but I'm gonna play your green version. I want to play it." And at that point, for me, I didn't know what was going on, so I just let her play it. And then all of a sudden, I get blamed from my mom saying, "Where did you lose the game?"
Of course.
Yeah. And 30-some days later, it's in her pink Game Boy Pocket, and with a Mewtwo in there. I'm like, you blame me for this?
Oh, really, Mom? I see what's going on here. Lay the blame on me so you can have the game. Mm-hmm.
So, that was my first game system, I would say. Like, what about you?
Well, I have to give my dad credit for getting me into gaming, actually. So, the first game system I remember seeing / playing was the old NES.
Okay.
Because he had it, and he played, Duck Hunt and Super Mario Brothers and all that fun stuff.
Those are the hard classic ones.
Oh, yeah. The one that my mother still actually, she makes us keep the NES in the basement with Super Mario Brothers because she's determined to beat it one day.
Okay.
She's been saying she's going to beat it for a long time. I'm not going to specify how long because then I'll be stating my mother's age and then she'll kill me. But
we don't want death in the podcast.
Not on the first podcast, please.
No,
she'll come at me with like a machete from behind. I can see it happening already.
Well, you do have the battle axes in
This is true. I have weapons, but in any case, off topic. So I did play the NES. The first game that I was really able to play on my own, though, which I actually have here, we were actually just playing a couple days ago, was Zelda: A Link to the Past on the SNES.
Oh, yes.
And that game, I've yet to beat that game. It's been out longer than I've been alive, and I've yet to beat that game. Not even that it's that difficult. It's just those classic games were long.
I mean, yeah, definitely. Also the controllers.
Oh, the controller.
Nowadays, controllers actually have some weight.
Nowadays, you could do nowadays it's normal to be able to put a hole in the wall by throwing a controller in a fit of rage after you lose that critical game of Call of Duty. Back in the day, you tried to do that with an NES controller or an SNES controller, it would have just shattered into pieces and the wall would have just laughed. Plastic. It's so light, it's silly. But ever since then, I've been playing games all the time.
For me, to be honest, that was I have not played the Legend of Zelda series. I've more of... When I was in Japan, it was the Super Famicom. And I've played the Mario Kart.
Oh, yes.
That was my favorite. And then I played Super Mario Brothers 3?
Sounds about right.
Was it with the frog one?
With the world map?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, where you went around the different... Yeah.
I did play that, and then... But the other thing, I think by that time, PlayStation was getting popular, Sony.
Yep.
So my aunt, who at that time was living in an apartment, and every now and then, yearly, I guess, or 2 years, I would go to Japan and have those summer trips.
Right.
And I would
go to Japan, play the PlayStation. Woo!
And back then, rating systems didn't exist in Japan.
Yeah.
And that's the funny thing. So, first game ever played for me on the PlayStation was Biohazard, or Resident Evil.
Ah, nice.
Now, it was the Resident Evil Director's Cut.
Okay, so all the special goodies and everything.